I was reading through Deuteronomy this week, the chapters that are part of our reading plan. And it reminded me that as the sermon this past Sunday, Tim was talking about how some of those laws don't make a whole lot of sense to us today, especially in our culture. Some of the things they were asked to do seemed a little barbaric. The responses to some of the things of other people around the nation of Israel. But then I remembered Tim talked about how those laws were given to them by God just so that they would look differently, they would live differently than the people around them. And the laws that God gave them, any law that God gives, the bigger picture is that God is asking for a relationship between him and between his people. In the New Testament, where Jesus is talking, he even talks about how the greatest commandment is to love God and love one another. The big picture there is a relationship. God wants a relationship with the Israelites. And as Jesus says, God wants a relationship with his people. Jesus talks about loving God, loving one another. Thinking through the questions that Tim had at the end of his sermon, where he said, what is one new land that you're entering into? And then asking God, what am I supposed to do with that? What am I supposed to do in this new land? For me, I've never been 36, raising a 7-year-old boy and a 5-year-old boy. I've one that's entered second grade and then another in preschool. And there's challenges that have come with that, especially in today's culture, within the COVID stuff, within everything else going on in the world. But even aside from that, I've never raised a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old. So as my wife and I are trying to figure out what does that look like, that's a new land that we're entering into. And when I reflect on some of the things that we talked about Sunday and looking at Deuteronomy and the laws there, and then even as Jesus talks about those laws, the big picture is God wants to stay in relationship with me. So as I'm entering into the new land and entering into those things of trying to figure out the best way for me to be a parent, or the best way for me to find other people to put into the lives of my children, or for me to be in the lives of others, the biggest thing God wants is a relationship. And in relationship, I'm having conversations with him. I'm constantly trying to figure out where he wants me to be, what he wants me to do. And I can't do that if there's not a conversation. So my prayer this week, as we look in the middle of this week, is that I can stay in constant communication and constant relationship with God, to be asking him where it is he wants me to be, what it is he wants me to be doing within this new land that I'm entering into.